Well, we're finally here, Canonites, the end of Halo Collateral Damage, a Master Chief story. It's been a short but interesting ride, and this final issue comes to a close in a way I personally wasn't expecting, but am very much on board with. So let's not waste any time and dive in. This is Halo Collateral Damage, Issue 3. We open where things left off in the last issue as Blue Team engages Covenant forces in the mine while trying to re-establish contact with Linda. Linda's signal just barely manages to reach Blue Team, allowing John's armor to pinpoint her location, literally right next to them in an adjacent cavern. In said cavern, Linda has her own Covenant to deal with, and she does so taking full advantage of the prototype thruster system she was given, which seems to be more akin to the jetpacks we'd see in Halo Reach or Halo 4 than thrusters. Unfortunately, she is vastly outnumbered. The rest of Blue Team quickly finishes off the Covenant force they were fighting. Fred suffers a plasma cut across the chest from a field marshal, but Kelly quickly kills it. And incidentally, there's a rather interesting line where the field marshal says, "You're different from the others, but you will still die like them." Not much to say, but just a cool line from the field marshal. But anyway, with the Coveys down, John manages to find a hole in the rock face and has Kelly send her drone through to see how thick the wall is. Discovering it's 3 meters thick, John wraps some MX-8 explosives around a plasma grenade to blow a hole in the wall. Before they do though, Fred grabs the Kindler for Dr. Halsey to examine. If you don't recall, we first saw the Kindler in the Halo 2 Anniversary Prologue Terminal Beholden, used to map out the tunnels beneath Meridian and find the Forerunner luminary hidden beneath its surface. The Spartans blast through the wall, meeting up with Linda and eliminating the Covenant threat. Unfortunately, the Kindler Fred collected was destroyed by a stray plasma bolt. With their mission all but a bust, Blue Team looks for a way back to the surface. As they are below sea level with water coming in, they find the water source and leave that way. The breach in Fred's armor from earlier, however, presents a problem. Not unlike Sam before him, Fred's Mjolnir is no longer sealed, though it's less of an issue since they're going underwater rather than the vacuum of space. Kelly points out that the leak will be slow, John tells Fred to hold his breath, and the Spartans soon depart for the surface. Now pausing for a second, this is one moment where I wish we could have gotten a look inside John's head. As noted, this is very reminiscent of what just happened to Sam on board Unrelenting, at least from the perspective of the Spartans. I can imagine for John and Kelly there would be a moment of, "oh shit, not again," going through their minds, and I would have loved to see even a single panel reminding us of that. And it's not like this would be a callback to a piece of fiction the reader of this comic would be unfamiliar with, as Sam's death is mentioned and dealt with in the very first issue. This could have and should have been done, and I'm rather disappointed that it wasn't. This comic is about John, the Master Chief. It gets a lot right, but this is one place where they really should have taken some extra time to get us into the Chief's head. Anyway, on the surface of Alpha Corvi 2, Blue Team's extraction site is being overwhelmed by the Covenant. However, Commander Yao orders the extraction Pelican to hold on. Blue Team soon shows up on Persian Gate sensors underwater. There's a rather humorous moment where Yao asks if Mjolnir was meant for submarine operations, to which Halsey responds, "No, but I imagine they're improvising." Or at least it was humorous to me. I don't know if this was intentional, but this reminded me a lot of a moment from Ghosts of Onyx. In that book, we meet up with Blue Team, at the time composed of Fred 104, Linda 058, and Will 043, 2 weeks after the start of Halo 2. At the time, Blue Team had recently been deployed on an op that required them to go underwater in the salty seas of Earth. Sea salt had accumulated on a quantum mirror that was vital to the function of Fred's motion tracker and would cause problems on future missions. Over the years, I've seen a few people question the need for Mjolnir armor like Oceanic, and I can imagine that battles like Alpha Corvi 2 and the later incidents like Ghost of Onyx necessitated the creation of such an armor permutation in Gen 2. Sorry for going off topic, but I just wanted to share those thoughts. Getting back to the comic, Blue Team emerges from the sea, Fred empties his helmet of water, and Blue Team is informed that there is no place for the extraction Pelican to land. Blue Team decides to make an LZ and quickly find themselves aided by the Innies in the unknown vehicle from Issue 1. With their help, the site is soon clear enough for the Pelican to land. Blue Team loads in, but to everyone's surprise and horror, the Innies aren't allowed. The crew tells Whitaker that no human vessels will be shot by the UNSC ships, and then the Pelican leaves. Back on the Persian Gate, Commander Yao congratulates Blue Team on making it back, but John immediately turns to the issue of leaving Whitaker and his forces behind. Yao tries to make this speech about how the war is bigger than any individuals, even Spartans, and while she isn't necessarily wrong, There was plenty of time for Whitaker's forces to board the Pelican and plenty of space for them to fit. Judging by the expressions on Blue Team's faces, I can imagine they were thinking something similar. John stands over Yao, and I mean stands over her, and says, "They fought for us, and we should have fought for them." Yao basically tells John to shut up and storms off, leaving John in shock. And this is a wonderful character moment for John, as I can imagine that by the end, he thought of Whitaker and the others as fellow soldiers in the fight against the Covenant. For John, leaving them behind would be likely similar to wasting lives, something John would never tolerate again after what happened to his fellow Spartans during augmentation. Halsey tries to put John's mind at ease, noting that he got his team out of there safely and that there would always be collateral damage. The comic comes to a close with Halsey asking what the Covenant were searching for as the Persian Gate slips out system. Meanwhile on the planet, Whitaker and what remain of his forces are overwhelmed by the Covenant. And that concludes this issue and the comic series as a whole. And holy hell, what an ending. I kept wondering what the new random Forerunner artifact was going to be, but the thing was just a misdirection the entire time, a MacGuffin to drive the conflict. The main theme, it seems, was to make the UNSC look like total dicks, and boy did they nail that. While this isn't entirely true, the majority of Halo media that features insurrectionist characters paints them as having a flawed ideology, or being in some way as bad or worse than the UNSC, or anything bad the UNSC does is pushed entirely onto Oni. Here, there's none of that. It's the UNSC itself, not Oni, that are being the assholes, and it feels rather refreshing, at least in my opinion. I can imagine that more casual fans, and those picking up a piece of Halo's EU material for the first time, may be rather surprised at how the UNSC actually operates. Overall, this was a pretty good comic that gave us a fun side story and a few interesting things to talk about, though the standout was easily the insurrectionist leader, Whitaker. He saw the need to put differences aside in the fight against the Covenant and was burned by the UNSC for it. We have been told that there would be some connective tissue between Collateral Damage and the upcoming Silent Storm novel, and I have to wonder if, and hope, that this betrayal, if not Whitaker himself, will come back to bite the UNSC and perhaps Blue Team in the ass in that book. Naturally, the comic isn't perfect. In a few ways, it would have been better as a short story, or had been given an extra issue so it could include a look at John's state of mind at Sam's funeral, during the mission, and after. And of course, getting into the minds of other characters, especially Whitaker, would have been great. But I'm satisfied with what we got. A fun side story that doesn't really need to connect to anything else, but has the potential to do so. With careful consideration, I give Halo Collateral Damage a 7 out of 10. About average. So what did you think of Collateral Damage? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, and if you really love me, hit that notification bell and leave a thumbs up. These both really help out the channel. I wouldn't be where I am now without your views and support, so once again, thank you. Keep on being awesome, Canonites.